And here's the thing I believe, which will change the way business is done. This is the thing that's going to drive the next stage in business-to-business workflow. It's about atomic transactions. So let's think of someone buying a bond. This is two banks, perhaps, buying a bond. On the one hand, on one ledger, Alice transfers some money to Bob, and that happens on the money ledgers. Now, depending on which bank accounts they're with, it'll work differently. There'll be a different number of hops. On the other hand, there's the ledger that does the bond transfer, and again, that could be any number of hops, but they're happening on different ledgers with different timings, and they're not really joined up. Now, sometimes you'll have businesses that sit there in the middle, and they'll take the cash and they'll take the bond, and they'll wait until they've got both legs, and then they can do what's called delivery versus payment to ensure that you don't lose one leg in the process. But that costs money, and you need to wrap a business around that. So where distributed ledgers really come into their own is in one message, in one transaction, you can have the money movement and the asset movement. It'll be signed by both parties, and this directly happens on the computers, on the ledgers of the two parties, and they can both see exactly what's going on. Now, this is incredible compared to the way we do financial transactions today, and that's called atomic transactions.
Thoughts on more technical point of view. Mr. Ching, would you like to share your idea?
Okay. In technical view, I think, in my opinion, it's a long time, or it's not a time to replace the financial system by the blockchain system. If you want to apply the blockchain technology, you should answer these questions. The first question is about performance. Do you really need decentralized? Because the central system has higher performance. For example, the Alibaba reached the peak reach about 120,000 transactions per second in the single day, and Tencent reached the peak throughput.
It's my turn, right? Okay. The private chain, public chain, has no clear definition. So many people say something different. So let me try to present my definition of the private and public. Taking a look the cryptocurrency as an example. So public chain world, like Bitcoin, Ethereum, they are managed by public. That means that everybody can set up a node to keep track of or they validate the transaction. So the Bitcoin node can be set up by anyone who want to set it up. And miner, everyone can be a miner. And on the other hand, private chain, that's actually managed only by the trusted parties. Private chain also called as a permission chain. That means that the only permissioned party can manage the node. So what's the difference? Taking like the Bitcoin and the other part is that the private coin. So the biggest difference is how many people are actually managing the node. And in case of the Bitcoin world, there are a huge number of nodes around the world. Actually, the miners are central, mainly in China at this moment, but there are many of them actually mining the coins. That means that there are big effort of managing the node, but it's everyone's node. That means everyone can participate, everyone can manage. So it's a cross-border big community thing. On the other hand, on the private side, even SBI started the new project called S-Coin platform. That's a private coin platform. Private company can issue their own coin. That's primarily for the payment settlement. But that's managed by only a limited number of companies. That means that that's kind of secured and only trusted party. That's we know who is responsible for that coin. So that's a big difference. Even though both coins can be used by anyone. So wallet can be used by anyone. Bitcoin can be used by anyone, as well as the S-Coin, that's a SBI private coin, can be used by anyone. The big difference is that how to manage the network. So private permission chain is suitable for small community, special purpose use. And I believe that public chain can be managed by the larger community, cross-border use case.
A lot of the debate, it was very clear what people who buy public chain assets get in terms of their benefits: faster transactions, access to immutable transactions. The conversation on the other side is about the benefits of, I guess, the banks, the benefits of the central banks, and that's a serious benefit in terms of more oversight into the health of the financial system, less chance of Lehman Brothers happening, this type of thing. But I haven't heard a lot of discussion, and of course, a lot of back office savings from settlements. You can shave however many millions of dollars a year, and that's why we should all move into distributed ledger systems. But there's no real benefit that I've heard of so far for the end user who's using the bank services. I hear very little of that conversation. I think in the end, that's the benefit that the private blockchains need to bring.
Actually, I attended the meeting at the Central Bank of Russia a couple of weeks ago in Sochi, Russia. And surprisingly, what they said that they don't believe cryptocurrency at all. Instead, they are planning to issue crypto ruble. That's funny, isn't it? They don't cryptocurrency. They don't believe Bitcoin, Ethereum. They want to get rid of it. But they want to issue their own cryptocurrency. That's controversial. So that means that the regulator want to use something they can control. So they always claim the governance issue because Bitcoin doesn't have governance, right? So
That's an understatement.
well, actually, the hard fork happened. Bitcoin Cash happens, and something else will be coming. Bitcoin Gold, Segwit 2x. They are expected. That means that no one has the clear control over what will happening. That means that the Bitcoin chain can be copied, and technically speaking, infinite number of Bitcoin chain can be copied over and again. That means that the infinite number of Bitcoin the copy coins can be issued. That's kind of scary for the regulator's perspective. That's why Russian central bank says that they are going to issue crypto ruble for everyone. Every Russian people. So that's an interesting perspective. So as I said, the public chain that evolves, but from the government or regulator's perspective, it's scary. But as Jack said, that there are certain use cases. I met several African people or the Latin American people. They cannot exchange their own national currency. That is the big problem because they are so illiquid. That means spread is very, very high. So interestingly, within Africa, intra-Africa, trade is done by US dollar. Why? Because their own national currency is so illiquid and the spread is too high. It's less costly to trade by using US dollar. That is a problem. And the public coin may resolve that kind of issue. That's a big potential.